Admiral William Hayes looked out the window of the spaceship. Below him was the blue-green planet where all the alien leaders had gathered. This was the biggest meeting of space creatures in history. Over 200 different kinds of aliens came to talk about letting humans join their group. "They are ready to see us now, Admiral," said Susan Miller. She fixed her uniform and stood up straight. Susan worked for William and helped with all the talking between humans and aliens. William nodded. He did not feel happy. For 3 months, they had tried to make a deal with the aliens, but nothing good came from all the talks. Humans were new to space travel, but they learned fast. They were good at fighting and making new machines. This made the older alien races worried. The meeting room was huge. It was made of shiny crystal that changed colors in the light. 7 tall aliens sat on high chairs. These were the most powerful leaders in the galaxy, the Archon Council. The head alien, Vex Tular, was made of purple energy inside a metal suit. He spoke to William and the human group. "Admiral Hayes, we have decided what to do about humans joining our group. Our choice is final." William felt his jaw get tight as he listened. The aliens wanted humans to give up their space navy. They wanted to limit human technology. They also wanted to study Earth's plants and animals whenever they wanted. In return, humans would get some protection and a small voice in the group. "This is not a real talk between equals," William said quietly. "You just want us to do what you say." "The Council thinks humans are growing too fast and causing problems," said Krellmore, a bug-like alien who was second in command. "You have been too warlike in just 200 years of space travel." Susan leaned close to William and whispered, "Sir, maybe we should think about their offer. The Draconid Empire has been attacking our outer colonies." William held up his hand to quiet her. 3 months of talking had led to this moment. The alien group was very strong, but humans never liked being told what to do. "Hi, Archon," William said, his voice echoing in the big room. "On behalf of Earth's government, I must say no to your terms." A shocked sound went through the crowd of aliens. "Think again, Admiral," said Vexatular, the energy in his metal suit moving faster. "Without our protection, you are alone in a dangerous galaxy." William gave a small smile. "Maybe. Or maybe your group has gotten too used to giving orders instead of making fair deals." He turned to his people. "We're leaving." As they walked out, John Sullivan grabbed William's arm. "Bill, this is crazy. We need friends out here." "No, John," William said. "We need people who treat us as equals. If they won't do that, we'll protect ourselves." As the humans went back to their ship, one of the aliens watched with worry. This was Zithvara, a being made of crystal. Unlike the others, she had studied human history carefully. She saw the determination in William's eyes. "You have made a big mistake," she told the other leaders quietly. "They will not give up. They will get ready for trouble." 6 months later, General Patricia Wilson sat in a war room deep under New Geneva City on Earth. Screens around her showed humans building many warships and weapons. "We are making 3 times as many Helios battleships as before," said Alan Foster, sliding a report to her. "The shipyards near Jupiter are working day and night. The Mars Defense Force has been completely changed and improved." Wilson nodded with approval. "And how is Project Prometheus going?" Foster looked serious. "The first test models worked well last week in the far reaches of our solar system. They leave almost no energy trail, just like our scientists promised." "Good," Wilson said. "The aliens watching stations should not see them until it's too late." Elizabeth Johnson, who studied alien life, spoke up from her seat. "General, I still worry about using my research as weapons." Wilson gave her a hard look. "Doctor, we will follow your safety rules. But we need every advantage if we are going to live through what's coming." The meeting went on as reports came in from all human space. Regular shipbuilding places now made warships. Mining operations in the asteroid belt dug up 3 times more metal than before. Smart computer systems were added to defenses around every human settlement. Meanwhile, the Alien Council did not notice how much humans were preparing. They were used to watching species over hundreds of years, not months. They did not see how fast humans were changing. On Earth, not everyone supported building so many weapons at first. Many people feared making the much more advanced aliens angry. But when news came that the Draconid aliens had attacked the human colony called New Horizon, and the Archon Council did nothing about it, public opinion changed quickly. In her private office after the meeting, Wilson looked at secret reports from spies in alien space. The reports confirmed what she feared. Several older alien races were moving their fleets near human space, saying they were just doing peacekeeping exercises. "They're not going to give us time," she said to herself. "They've already decided. We're too dangerous to let us be free." Wilson ordered the final part of humanity's preparation plan. Hidden shipyards far from Earth began final work on ships that used technology. Humans had learned from dealing with various aliens. Volunteer colonies in faraway star systems turned on huge defense systems hidden under their planet's surfaces. Most importantly, Operation Scattered Seed sent hundreds of small hidden ships carrying everything needed for human survival to carefully chosen star systems far beyond known space. If the worst happened, humanity would survive. In the council chambers, Zithvara tried once more to warn the other leaders. "You do not understand how humans think," she insisted. "When threatened, they never give up. They are primitive and we outnumber them," dismissed Vextular. "They will see reason when our peacekeeping fleet arrives at their home system." Zithvara's crystal body dimmed sadly. "No, they will see it as an invasion, and they have been getting ready to respond." Admiral Daniel Reeves stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance. On the big screen in front of him, he saw the alien ships coming closer. 73 ships from the Conclave had just appeared at the edge of our solar system. "They are calling us, Admiral," said Laura Bennett from her communications station. "Put them on screen," Reeves said, fixing his uniform. The face of Fleet Commander Graztur appeared on the screen. He was a tall, lizard-like alien from the Draconid Empire. Behind him stood other aliens from the Conclave. "Human ships," Graztur said. His voice changed to English by the ship's computer. "By order of the Archon Council, you must turn off your defense systems and let us board your ships. The Conclave has decided that humans need direct watching to keep the galaxy safe." Reeves allowed himself a small smile. "That's interesting timing, Commander. We were about to send people back to the Conclave with our own offer." Graztur looked confused. "There is no other offer, Admiral. The Archon Council's decision is final." "Maybe you should check with your bosses," Reeves suggested calmly. "Because while you've been traveling here, we've been busy elsewhere." "Right on time, Olivia." Martinez turned on the special communication system. The screen split to show many views from across Conclave space. "What is this?" demanded Graztur. "This," said Reeves, "is humanity's answer to your demands." The screen showed human stealth ships appearing around key Conclave worlds, including the home planets of each Archon Council member. Dozens of sleek black ships had slipped past the supposedly strong defenses of the older races without being seen. None of the human ships were firing weapons. They didn't need to. The message was clear. If humanity could put military ships in the heart of Conclave territory without being detected, they could attack anywhere. "Impossible," whispered one of the aliens behind Graztur. 6 months ago, it would have been, agreed Reeves. "It's amazing what humans can do when they have a good reason." Graztur's face showed fury. "This is an act of war." "No," Reeves corrected. "This is a demonstration. If we wanted war, your worlds would already be under attack. Instead, we're showing you what happens when you push humans into a corner." He leaned forward. "Now shall we talk about real negotiations, as equals?" Before Graztur could answer, a new signal cut into the communication. The crystal form of 4th Archon Zithvara appeared. "Stop, Commander Graztur," she ordered. "Admiral Reeves, I have convinced the Archon Council to meet again. Your demonstration has been effective." Reeves nodded respectfully to the 4th Archon. "We look forward to good talks, Archon Zithvara. But understand that those ships will stay in position until we have a formal agreement." After the communication ended, Richard Grant approached Reeves. "Sir, Do you think they'll actually negotiate? This time? Reeves watched as the Conclave fleet began turning off its weapon systems. They don't have much choice, Richard. We've shown them we won't be conquered or controlled. He paused. But this is just the beginning. We've forced them to the table. Now we need to show them we can be partners, not just enemies. Throughout human space, the tense standoff continued. But for the first time, the older races of the Conclave began to understand that they had completely misunderstood humanity. These weren't just another species to be guided and controlled. These were potential equals who had achieved in months what took other races decades. And in the private rooms of the Archon Council, Zithvara finally found her warnings listened to. I told you, she reminded her fellow Archons. Humans don't respond to threats. They overcome them. The diplomatic ship, UES Concord, floated in neutral space, halfway between Earth and Proxima Centauri b. Inside, representatives from humanity and the Conclave had been negotiating for 3 weeks. Progress was slow but steady, with both sides giving up some things. Ambassador Catherine West rubbed her forehead as she looked at the latest draft agreement. They're still pushing for limits on our quantum entanglement research, she told her helper Samuel Brown. The Minervans are particularly worried about that, Brown noted. Apparently, our approach goes against some of their religious beliefs about how reality works. West sighed. If only they were as worried about the Draconid Empire's so-called peacekeeping operations. The negotiations were interrupted by an urgent call from Earth. General Wilson's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious. Ambassador, we have a situation. Our long-range sensors have detected something massive coming from beyond the edge of the galaxy. It's like nothing we've seen before. Within hours, an emergency meeting was called with the full Archon Council attending as holograms. Sensor data from both human and Conclave sources confirmed the strange thing approaching. It appears to be a swarm of some kind, explained Dr. Nathan Rivera, Earth's leading space scientist. Millions of objects moving together, eating star material as they travel. High Archon Vextular's energy form pulsed with worry. The Devourers. They were thought to be just a legend. You know what these things are? West demanded. Third Archon Krellmore made nervous clicking sounds. There are ancient records from the early days of the Conclave. Stories of a consuming force that moves between galaxies, harvesting energy and matter before moving on. But no one has seen them in over 50,000 years. Ambassador West exchanged glances with her team. And what happened to the civilizations in their path? They were wiped out. Fourth Archon Zithvara stated simply. The Devourers consume everything valuable, energy sources, rare elements, even the brain patterns of intelligent life. How were they stopped last time? Asked West. A heavy silence fell over the Conclave representatives. They weren't, Vexitular finally admitted. They simply moved on after consuming what they wanted. The news was staggering. Based on their path, the Devourers would reach the outer systems of Conclave space within 6 months. As the emergency meeting continued, human and Conclave scientists worked frantically to analyze the data. The political tensions that had defined their relationship seemed suddenly unimportant in the face of this existential threat. In a private communication, later that day, Admiral Reeves spoke with General Wilson. The Conclave is terrified, Reeves reported. Their entire defense strategy is built around maintaining power over other known species. They have no plan for something like this. Wilson's holographic image nodded grimly. And they've been static. For too long. Their technology has stopped improving. They haven't faced a real threat in thousands of years. Whereas we've been innovating like crazy just to catch up to them, Reeves mused. Project Prometheus might actually work against these Devourers. It's risky, Wilson cautioned. We'd be revealing our most advanced technology. Reeves smiled. True. But if it works, we save not just ourselves, but the entire galactic community. And if that doesn't change our relationship with the Conclave, nothing will. The next day, Ambassador West made an unexpected proposal to the Archon Council. The United Earth government is prepared to share a defensive technology we've been developing. Combined with the Conclave's resources, we believe it could be effective. against the Devourers. The council was suspicious at first, but as the human scientists explained the principles behind Project Prometheus, a system that could essentially hide entire planets from both normal sensors and the unique detection methods used by the Devourers, their interest grew. "Why would you share this with us?" asked Vextuler. "After our disagreements." West met the High Archon's gaze steadily. "Because some threats go beyond political differences, and because humans understand something your conclave seems to have forgotten. Sometimes survival depends on working together, not domination." For the first time in thousands of years, the Archon Council found itself in the unfamiliar position of needing help from a younger race. The balance of power had shifted, not through conflict but through necessity. 2 months later, scientists from 12 different species worked side by side in a massive space station orbiting Jupiter. The station had been quickly built using both human and conclave technology. Dr. Rivera stood before a huge holographic display showing the approaching Devourer swarm. "The good news is that we've managed to slow them down by creating a fake star system to distract them. They've diverted to consume it, which buys us another month." Across the table, the Minervan scientist Trelvox made a gurgling sound that his translator converted to words. "The quantum phase shifting technology from Project Prometheus works well with our energy field manipulation. The first tests are promising." General Wilson nodded. "What about deployment? How many planets can we protect?" "That's where we run into limitations," explained Rivera. "Based on our current resources, we can shield about 30 star systems. Priority would go to the most populated worlds from both human and conclave space." The room fell silent. There were hundreds of inhabited worlds across known space. "What about evacuation?" asked Wilson. A Draconid commander named Krelzak, who had once been among humanity's fiercest critics, spoke up. "My fleet has begun moving civilians from outer colonies to designated safe worlds. The human stealth technology has been invaluable in avoiding detection by Devourer scouts." Wilson and the Draconid exchanged a nod of professional respect. Old enemies were becoming reluctant allies in the face of extinction. Later that day, Admiral Reeves and Archon Zithvara toured the orbital shipyards around Earth's moon. Dozens of massive vessels were under construction, each incorporating elements of both human and conclave design. "I never thought I would see Minervans and humans working together," Zithvara commented, her crystalline form reflecting the lights of the construction. "Their religious views on quantum mechanics have kept them isolated for centuries." "Nothing unites people like a common enemy," Reeves replied, "although I wish it hadn't taken the threat of extinction to start this cooperation." Zithvara turned to face him directly. "Admiral, I have studied your species extensively. Your adaptability is remarkable. The Conclave has existed for over 20,000 years, yet in mere months you have forced us to change more than we have in millennia." "Is that a compliment or a complaint?" Reeves asked with a smile. "Both, perhaps," the crystalline being admitted. "Change is difficult for ancient civilizations. We fear losing what has worked for so long. But now I wonder if we had become too rigid, too certain of our superiority." As they watched a new shield generator being installed on a massive battleship, Reeves said, "Here's something I've been wondering. If these Devourers are so powerful, how did life in the galaxy survive their last visit? They must have some weakness." Zithvara was silent for a moment. "The ancient records are incomplete, but there are hints that the Devourers avoid systems with certain types of stellar radiation. We dismiss these as myths, but perhaps we should look into that," Reeves said, his mind already racing with possibilities. On Earth, ordinary citizens prepared for possible evacuation, while governments worked to keep panic from spreading. Everyone knew the stakes. If the combined defenses failed, humanity might need to flee to hidden colonies established during Operation Scattered Seed. In schools, children learned new emergency procedures. In factories, production shifted to essential supplies. Parks and public spaces were converted into temporary shelter areas. Yet amid the preparation for disaster, something unexpected was happening. News feeds showed Minervan engineers teaching human students advanced energy theory. Human doctors shared medical techniques with Draconid healers. Cultural exchanges flourished as people realized how much they could learn from each other. In her office in New Geneva, General Wilson reviewed the latest reports with Ambassador West. The Archon Council has proposed a restructuring, West said, sliding a datapad across the desk. They want to expand the council to include representatives from younger species, including humans. Wilson looked surprised. That's a dramatic change from their position 6 months ago. Facing extinction tends to shift one's perspective, West replied with a tired smile. They've realized their system of domination by the eldest races was actually making the galactic community weaker, not stronger. Diversity of thought and approach is proving to be our greatest weapon against the Devourers. Do you think they're sincere? Wilson asked. Or just desperate? Both, probably. But I think the experience of working alongside us has genuinely changed some of them, particularly Zith Vara. She's become our strongest advocate in the council. Wilson looked out her window at the busy city below. If we survive this, the galaxy will never be the same. That's not necessarily a bad thing, West pointed out. In deep space, at the edge of Conclave territory, the first direct encounter with a Devourer scout ship was about to occur. A joint human Conclave battle group waited in ambush, hidden using modified stealth technology from Project Prometheus. Fleet Captain George Taylor of the UES Challenger whispered to his bridge crew, "Steady. Not until they're fully in the gravity well." Beside him, the Draconid commander Krelzak added, "Remember, the plan. We need to capture it intact if possible. The information in its navigation systems could be crucial." The bridge crew, a mix of humans and 3 different conclave species, worked together with practiced efficiency that would have seemed impossible just months ago. As the strange geometric shape of the Devourer scout entered the designated zone, Taylor gave the order. Now. The battle was about to begin, a test of whether the newly forged alliance could stand against the ancient threat, and perhaps a glimpse of a new future for the galaxy, if they survived. The battle with the Devourer scout ship lasted only 20 minutes, but they were 20 of the most intense minutes in Fleet Captain Taylor's life. "Direct hit on their propulsion system," called out Lieutenant Kelly Ford from the weapons station. "Their ship is slowing down." The strange geometric vessel, shaped like a black diamond with glowing blue lines, drifted in space. It had fought back with weapons unlike anything the Allied forces had seen before, beams that seemed to drain energy rather than cause physical damage. "Boarding teams ready," Commander Krelzak announced. His scales had paled during the battle, a sign of stress in Draconids, but his voice remained steady. The joint human conclave team had practiced for this moment. Using modified stealth technology, they could approach the damaged scout ship without being detected. Their goal was to get information about the main Devourer swarm, its weaknesses, its intentions, and hopefully how to stop it. "Launch boarding shuttles," Taylor ordered, "and may luck be with them." From the observation deck, Taylor and Krelzak watched as 6 small craft detached from the larger vessels and moved toward the disabled Devourer ship. Each carried a mix of human and conclave specialists chosen for their unique skills. "Do you believe in God's human?" Krelzak asked suddenly. Taylor glanced at the Draconid, surprised by the personal question. "Some humans do. Some don't. I've never been sure myself." "My people have 17 gods of war," Krelzak said. 6 months ago, I would have gladly sacrificed to them for the chance to conquer Earth. Now I pray to them for the success of your people alongside mine. Life is strange." Taylor nodded. "Very strange indeed." 2 hours later, the boarding teams returned with valuable data but also troubling news. The Devourer ship had self-destructed before they could capture its central systems, but not before. They downloaded some information. In the briefing room of the UES Challenger, Dr. Elena Martinez, the lead xenobiologist on the mission, presented their findings to the assembled commanders. "The Devourers aren't a natural species," she explained, pointing to the genetic analysis on the screen. They're artificial, created by some ancient civilization as a harvesting mechanism. They're programmed to collect specific resources and return them somewhere. Return them where? Asked Taylor. We don't know, Martinez admitted. That information was lost when the ship self-destructed. But we did learn something important. The Devourers operate like a hive mind. They share information constantly, which means they now know about our defenses. Krelzak finished grimly. Exactly. Martinez nodded. The entire swarm will adapt based on what the scout learned during our battle. Our current strategies may no longer work. The news spread quickly through the Allied fleet. For a brief moment, despair threatened to overwhelm the fragile alliance. If the Devourers could adapt to their defenses, what hope did they have? Back on Earth, Admiral Reeves and Archon Zithvara received the report from the front lines. They had been working with a team of scientists to refine the combined stealth shield technology. This changes everything, Reeves said after reading the findings. If they can adapt to our defenses, then we must adapt faster. Zithvara finished. Her crystalline form glimmered with determination. My species believes that adversity reveals truth. Perhaps the truth is that neither humans nor the Conclave alone could defeat this threat. But together we have something the Devourers don't have, Reeves realized. Creativity, diversity of thought. If these things are artificial and programmed, they must have limitations. Zithvara tilted her crystalline head. What are you thinking, Admiral? I'm thinking we need to stop playing defense, Reeves said. The Devourers have been feared for so long that everyone has focused on hiding from them or surviving them. But if they're machines, they can be broken. Within days, a new plan was developed. Rather than simply trying to shield planets from the Devourers, the Allied forces would target the swarm itself. Using information gathered from the scout ship, they identified a potential weakness in the Devourers' communication system. At the Jupiter Research Station, Dr. Rivera explained the plan to General Wilson and the Archon Council, who attended via hologram. The Devourers use quantum entanglement to communicate instantly across vast distances. That's how the swarm coordinates, Rivera said. But our analysis shows their quantum network operates on a specific frequency pattern. If we can disrupt that pattern, we could break their hive mind, Wilson finished. Turn a unified swarm into confused individual units. Exactly, Rivera said. We'll need to modify our stealth ships to carry quantum disruptors. They'll need to get close to the main control nodes in the swarm, the larger ships that coordinate, the smaller ones. That's a suicide mission, said one of the Archons. Those ships would never return. Not necessarily, said Trelvox, the Minervan scientist. If we combine human stealth technology with our phase-shifting capability, we might be able to get ships close enough to deploy the disruptors and then escape. The plan was risky, but it offered something precious: hope. Throughout human and conclave space, shipyards worked around the clock to modify vessels for the mission. Scientists refined the quantum disruptor technology, while military strategists planned the attack. 1 month later, a fleet of 50 specially modified ships gathered at the edge of conclave space. Each carried a crew of volunteers from various species, humans working alongside races they had once considered enemies. On the bridge of the lead ship, renamed Unity for the mission, Captain Maria Alvarez looked at her mixed crew with pride. We all come from different worlds, she told them. We have different biologies, different beliefs, different histories. The Devourers see this diversity as a weakness. Today we prove it's our greatest strength. Her first officer, a Minervan named Kelnar, added, For 20,000 years the Conclave has feared change. We thought stability meant strength. Humans taught us otherwise. Today we change the fate of our galaxy together. As the fleet prepared to jump to the coordinates where they would intercept the Devourer swarm, a message came through from Earth. It was a joint transmission from Admiral Reeves and the full Archon Council. Whatever happens today, Reeves said, you have already achieved something unprecedented, true cooperation between all our peoples. If you succeed, you save our present. If you fail, The bonds you forged will still shape our future. Luck and good hunting. With that final message, the fleet activated their engines and vanished into faster-than-light travel, heading toward a confrontation that would determine the fate of all intelligent life in the galaxy. The 50 ships of the Allied fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Devourer's formation. Captain Alvarez felt her breath catch at the sight before them. The main Devourer swarm stretched across space as far as the eye could see, millions of black geometric shapes moving in perfect coordination, like a vast cloud of metal insects. "Stealth systems active," reported Kelnar from his station. "They haven't detected us yet. All ships maintain formation," Alvarez ordered through the fleet communication system. "Remember your targets and approach vectors. Wait for my signal to begin the attack run." The plan was daring but simple. Their ships would use their combined stealth and phase-shifting technology to approach the largest Devourer vessels, the command nodes that coordinated the swarm. Once in position, they would deploy the quantum disruptors and escape before the Devourers could react. 10 minutes to optimal deployment position, the navigation officer announced. Alvarez looked around at her crew, humans working alongside Minervans, Draconids, and other species that had once been bitter rivals. Whatever happened today, they had already achieved something remarkable. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Kelnar. Alvarez nodded. "Begin approach." The fleet moved silently toward the massive swarm, their advanced stealth systems rendering them invisible to the Devourer's sensors. For 15 tense minutes, they closed the distance without detection. "We're in position," Kelnar reported. "All ships confirmed deployment readiness." Alvarez took a deep breath. "Deploy quantum disruptors on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Throughout the fleet, crews activated the devices that represented the combined genius of a dozen different species. The quantum disruptors sent out waves of energy specifically tuned to interfere with the Devourer's communication frequency. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, confusion spread through the Devourer swarm. Ships that had been moving in perfect coordination began to drift apart. Some stopped entirely while others moved in random directions. "It's working," exclaimed the sensor operator. "Their coordination is breaking down." But the victory was short-lived. A section of the swarm, perhaps operating on a backup system, suddenly turned toward the Unity. "We've been detected," Kelnar warned. "Evasive maneuvers." Alvarez gripped her command chair as the ship swerved sharply. "All ships, begin withdrawal sequence." Across the battlefield, the Allied vessels turned to escape. Some made it immediately to safety, jumping away to predetermined coordinates. Others found themselves surrounded by increasingly desperate Devourer vessels. "The Horizon and the Star Striker cut off from escape," reported the communications officer. "They're continuing to deploy secondary disruptors despite being surrounded." On the main screen, Alvarez watched as 2 Allied ships, one human and one Minervan, sacrificed themselves to ensure the disruptors would continue affecting the swarm. A lump formed in her throat. "Captain, 3 Devourer ships approaching fast on our port side," called out the tactical officer. "Divert power to shields and prepare for impact," Alvarez ordered. The Unity shook violently as energy beams struck its shields. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Shields down to 30%, reported the engineering officer. "Jump drive. Charging but needs 2 more minutes." "We don't have 2 minutes," Alvarez said grimly. "All power to engines, we'll have to outrun them." Just as the situation seemed hopeless, 3 more ships appeared. Allies who had already escaped but returned to help. "This is Captain Lee of the Defender," came a voice over the communication system. "We'll hold them off. Get your people home, Maria." The 3 ships positioned themselves between the Unity and the pursuing Devourers, buying precious time for the jump drive to charge. "Jump drive ready," called the engineering officer. "Get us out of here," Alvarez ordered, her voice thick with emotion. The Unity vanished into faster-than-light travel just as the Defender and its companions engaged the Devourer vessels. 3 days later, Admiral Reeves stood before the assembled Archon Council on Earth, the first time the Council had ever met outside of Conclave space. The chamber was packed with representatives from every species involved in the battle against the Devourers. Of the 50 ships that undertook the mission, 32 returned, Reeves reported solemnly. But their sacrifice was not in vain. The latest reports indicate that the Devourer swarm has broken apart. Without their hive mind coordination, they've reverted to a basic programming that makes them far less dangerous. Most importantly, they've changed course and are moving away from populated space. A murmur of relief swept through the chamber. High Archon Vex Tuller, whose energy form had grown dimmer with age and stress during the crisis, glowed more brightly. Now, Admiral Reeves, Vex Tuller said, the Conclave has existed for 20,000 years. In all that time, we never faced a threat we could not handle through our established methods, until now. It took the creativity and courage of humanity, working alongside our younger members to save us all. Zithvara moved forward. The old council structure is no more. We propose a new galactic alliance, with equal representation for all spacefaring species regardless of age. Humanity has earned a permanent place at this table. Reeves looked around the chamber at faces, or their equivalent, from across the galaxy. 6 months ago, we walked away from peace talks because we demanded to be treated as equals. Today, we stand together as allies who have faced extinction and survived. I believe we can build something better than the Conclave ever was, a true community of worlds. The proposal was accepted unanimously. Over the following months, the new Galactic Alliance took shape. Joint scientific missions explored space. Together, cultural exchanges flourished between formerly isolated species. Defense systems were shared and improved upon. 1 year after the battle with the Devourers, Captain Alvarez stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, a massive new space habitat at the neutral point between Earth and Proxima Centauri, built as headquarters for the Galactic Alliance. Beside her stood Kelnar, now serving as the Minervan ambassador to Earth. They watched as ships from across the galaxy arrived for the formal signing of the Alliance Charter. Did you ever imagine we would end up here? Kelnar asked. When your people first walked away from the Conclave's demands? Alvarez smiled. Honestly, no. We were just determined not to be pushed around or treated as lesser beings. And now you've changed the galaxy forever, Kelnar observed. In the grand chamber at the heart of the station, Admiral William Hayes, the man who had first rejected the Conclave's terms, took his place as Earth's representative on the new council. As he looked at the transformed gathering with young and old species seated as equals, he caught the glimmering gaze of Zithvara across the chamber, the crystalline being tilted slightly in acknowledgement. They both knew the truth, that sometimes the greatest victories come not from domination, but from the courage to walk away and demand better. The end.